Hi, and welcome to the R2RB Women Entrepreneur Spotlight podcast series. And today I have with me Kare Sabo, part owner of the Second Chance Ranch Rescue in Felton, Delaware. Hi, Kara. How are
Hi,
you?
Deb. I'm well. I'm excited that we are here to do this. We've been talking about this for a while,
Right?
so here we are to make it happen.
Oh my God, I know. I'm so excited too. So I like to ask two questions to get us warmed up. And the first one is, what's your favorite app on your phone and why?
Oh my gosh, that would probably be a tie between Instagram and Pinterest because Instagram is definitely my creative outlet now. It's like where I go to share the pictures that I take. I just love to see other inspirational posts and accounts, and especially with the rescue, there are so many other rescues out there. So it's really like inspirational, but I also really like Pinterest for ideas of all the projects I don't have time to do. But yeah, it's also inspirational. It's just a good reminder of all the things that I don't have time for right now. But those are probably my top faves.
Okay. All right. I like it. All right. So, if you could have one superpower, which one would you have and why?
That one, that's definitely tough, but I think if I could have a superpower, it would be super strength because it would be really handy around the farm. Stacking hay and moving the big heavy stuff that I'm like, oh, I gotta go get the tractor for this. Nope, I'll just grab it, no problem. I get myself in trouble already, like trying to lift things I probably shouldn't because I'm impatient, but I think that would be pretty cool. I
I,
think that would be a very useful superpower.
and knowing you and knowing the rescue, absolutely. All
Um,
right. So, you are initially from Wyoming, and so is
mhm.
your husband, Christian. How did the two of you meet, and how did you end up in Delaware?
Oh my gosh. So your typical love story, college kids working at the local animal shelter fall in love. I was going to college in Casper, Wyoming, and that is where Christian is originally from. And we were both working at the local animal shelter, the Casper Humane Society. And we just hit it off. We had a lot in common. We loved the outdoors. We loved our job and what we did. He loved his family. I loved mine. And it was meant to be. And it happened quickly because Christian was going into the Air Force. So,
Wow.
also your typical military love story. He was going to basic training. And so we dated long distance. And when he was coming back, both of our families were like, okay, you guys, like, we think this is it. We think you should get married. So I think that his family and my family had like proposed before he did. Like everyone was like, okay, you guys, like this needs to happen. You need to get married. And it wasn't like we hadn't already talked about it because we
Right.
had,
Oh
but
my gosh.
it was just really cool. Like we had such a huge support system. And so we ended up getting married in his grandma's backyard, and it was
Oh,
absolute perfection. And we moved to California after that. We were stationed there for almost 6 years. It was a little over 5 years. Then we went to Germany for 4 years, which was absolute heaven. We loved every
oh
second,
wow.
but we were also excited to get back stateside.
I bet.
Um, so we could buy a house
Right.
and start, a new life. And that's how we ended up in Delaware.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
stationed at the base in Dover, and we just are embracing it fully. If we've learned anything traveling, it's you embrace it fully. So here we are.
There you go. And you had your son in Germany?
Yes, we did right in the middle of COVID, which was great in 2020. We had him, he was 8 months old when we got back stateside. So he hadn't
Wow.
met any family or anything until we got back. Well, actually, I should say Christian's mom and grandma were able to make it over to Germany for a quick short visit, but it was all really restricted still.
Wow.
And then when we got back, it was time to just fully jump in.
Wow. And so you get ready, you get word that you're going to be stationed in Dover, Delaware. Is that you start looking for a house? And so you
Yes.
found a house in a very unique way that I don't know if everybody would be
Yes.
comfortable in doing it the way that you and Christian did it. Tell us about that.
So when we found out that we were coming to Delaware, we started looking for houses right away because we were a new family of three. We had three dogs and a cat. We had been renting, over in Germany, and we were ready to just put down some roots and get a house. And we didn't want to go through looking for an apartment or somewhere to rent and then looking for a house. And so we just started looking online, got a realtor, and two of our best friends were living here. And so they were kind of like our little proxies. They would go and look at houses for us. And then when we found the house we're in now, we had them sign for the house for us. So we really we were going in blind. We hadn't seen it except through videos and pictures, and we didn't sign for it. We had our good friend sign all the papers for us, and they brought us here after we landed in Delaware, and we just never looked back after that. We
Oh my
were like,
gosh.
okay, let's make this work.
Did you have any idea of what type of house you wanted or the area you wanted to be in? I mean, you had, some, experience with horses growing up.
Yes. So when we were looking at houses, we knew we wanted to be out of town. We wanted to have like a little hobby farm, homestead type, potential for a hobby farm or a little homestead. We wanted to be able to have chickens and a garden. And when we were looking at houses, this house was only on a 1 acre plot. And we just happened to notice in the background that there was a pasture bumped up to the back of the property. And we saw some horses standing out there, and all of my creeping through Google Earth and everything, I saw that there was a barn and a hayfield and some horses. So we thought, how bad can it be? Like, we're
Right?
out, out of town, have a little bit of space, and you can see horses. So really, like, how bad could that be?
Right, exactly. And you might have thought about, having the hobby farm and everything, but having
Mhm.
somebody else have your hobby farm for you in the beginning to get your, feet and your roots planted, you had the
Yes.
best of both worlds. And now you ended up coming here with Christian and the baby and three dogs and a cat. You packed it up all yourself. You landed in a house you had never really set your own feet, 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet into. I mean, that must have been such a stressful time.
It was definitely stressful, especially like being in the middle of the pandemic. Everything was really weird. Just having a baby, everything is really weird. He was our first, so any parents out there can appreciate what that's like, and traveling across the pond to come back stateside from living in a foreign country, and all the hoops we had to jump through just to get our animals back. That's like, I could do
Crazy.
a whole other
And
conversation on that because
yeah,
it's
that
it's
was crazy.
crazy.
So
But
in the
yeah,
mid,
it was.
yeah, yeah. So in the midst of finally getting here, getting unpacked, having neighbors that had horses, did you know it was a rescue?
I think, and I'd have to ask my one friend. I think I had kind of looked on like Google Earth and saw maybe that there was like a pinpoint of it being a rescue, or maybe when
Okay.
I was creeping like the street view, I saw the sign like at the end of the driveway, but I had not done
Yeah.
any research. I hadn't like really looked into it much, maybe just at the Facebook page.
Right.
But past that, it was kind of like a blur, like a passing, like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then,
And that was it.
yeah, and then that was it. Like, oh
And
my gosh, we have to like fly, 13 hours with a 8-month-old. Like,
oh my God. That's
no.
crazy. Oh, crazy. And up to that point, had you and Christian even thought about a rescue?
So we had talked when we were very first married, like, you said long-term goals. We wanted to have an animal rescue, but our thought was like, a small animal, because we had met working at this shelter. We were like, oh, we could, like rescue the older dogs that, don't have
The
anywhere to
seniors,
go.
yeah.
Maybe someday we'll have some property and they can have somewhere to run. And, we had talked about that for a while, but then a large animal rescue, like that was not anywhere on our radar. Like not at all.
Not at all. All right, so you're in the house, you have the horses, you have the pasture, and you finally get to meet your neighbor.
Yes. So it's really funny because the first time I met Cindy, I think our dogs had escaped, went to meet her dogs. So that was like a quick interaction. And then after that, Chris and I took over a little basket of German goodies that we made for all of our neighbors, because we really wanted to make a good impression on them since we had no idea who we were moving in next to. So we get to have a proper introduction, and that was when I got to start talking to Cindy about the horses and my horse background and who we were and where we came from, being from Wyoming. And I remember walking away from her house and just feeling so much love and excitement. So many fears were washed away because we were like, oh my gosh, we have this house, this fixer-upper. We are surrounded by amazing people. Like the opportunities are just swelling.
Right.
Like we get to walk around and show our kid like the outside, the outdoors. There's horses,
Right.
there's goats, there's nature. It's just beautiful here. We were very excited, and a lot of those fears we had moving into a house sight unseen were just washing away.
Vanished. And during that discussion, did Cindy then tell you that it was a rescue that she had?
Yes, so she mentioned it, that she had started it. She told us a lot of her background story, why she wanted to start a rescue. That was kind of when we started like, oh, well, if you have some free time and you want to come over and help work with the horses, like that was when it really got rolling. Or like, oh, if you need help with this project, like please reach out to us, because we were also like, new to the area. So having that connection
Connection, yeah.
with a local person was
Right.
also really exciting. And then the fact that she had these horses and the fact that they were rescues and needed, extra attention, and the volunteering opportunity and stuff like that, like was really exciting.
So at that point, did she tell you all about Second Chance Ranch Rescue, or did you gradually learn all the ins and outs of the rescue?
We got a lot of information then, like her and her sister and their family had actually finished building the barn that we have now, put the stalls in it. I mean, so much unbelievable work that they put towards it, getting the well put in, getting like funding to do this and putting pastures up. And like she gave us so many details of all that really hard work. And of course, we could talk horses all day. Like
There you
every
go.
time we got together, it was like, okay, tell me more about Sphinx. Like, tell me more about him and where he came from. And she would just light up. Like, we could sit and talk about those horses until the cows came home. Like, and so it was kind of like gradually over time that we got the full in and out. And it was really just getting to know her as a person and being around the farm. Little things pop up here and there. So it was always like a little treat. Like anytime we were going out for a walk and Cindy was over there, we always made sure to swing over and say hi. And there was always a little, fun fact that we got to learn as we got to know
Oh,
her.
that's cool. All right, so then tell us about Second Chance Rescue. What was it all about then, and what it's still all about now?
How much time do we have now?
Well, we could do this in two parts, so go.
We got we got a lot of information. No, I'm just kidding. Second Chance Ranch is just like the name, a second chance at life. The goal is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome animals that those animals may come from an unwanted or neglected or abused animals, or simply animals that are in a situation that's not ideal for them. or their owner. A lot of times those are the people that we hear from,
Right.
and that's a hard choice to make. Making the decision to surrender your animal. And also it's brave, because in the world of the internet, we can find a lot of different avenues to go down. And so we really appreciate when people take the steps to make sure their animals are going to a really, safe place that they can
The right
get
place.
rehabilitated in. Yeah. There are people out there that abuse the system, that just want, to give up like an older horse that's not benefiting them anymore. So that can be a little bit tougher, but we're here to try and help anyone, that we can. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's one that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we can definitely do that.
The bailout programs and what we see from the auction is a whole other topic. And then, we have our local people that really are genuinely needing help and wanting to do the right thing by their animal. And then you have the ones who it's more of an inconvenience. And so they're trying to find, the whole point is to try and rehome these animals with people who are looking for, a specific, whatever their little heart needs or desires.
Right.
But that's after they're rehabilitated. Once they're healthy, we start a training program with them. That's where they'll go through a 6-step program or an adoption exam. That helps us know the potential, specifically the horses. That way we can give as much information as possible so that they're not getting sent, back out into the world or sent to the auction house. We do groundwork, work on manners, grooming, like for the farrier vet, rideability, if they are rideable, socializing with humans and animals, and being used to, a feral 3-year-old running around, or a farm cart, the old golf cart buzzing by, we work on trailering and other desensitization for safety, really just trying to get to know them, their personalities, as much as we can to help them find, their happy ever after.
Right. So you just don't take the rescue in, make them feel a little bit better, and then, find somebody like, as soon as possible. You go through this whole rehabilitation, this whole step program to make sure, like you said, that for the next person, for their forever home, they know exactly what the circumstance was, what it is, because on that side, when they're going to be rehomed, then you can, once the rehomer tells you about them, then you know that it's going to be a good fit.
Exactly. Yeah. The point is like trying to catch the ones that are falling through the cracks, because a lot of times there are people out there seeking, when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's like there's absolutely no way that there's enough people to like take in all of these animals that are just getting, turned away. But there are people out there, and our job is to kind of help get them pieced together and give them the chance to get back up on their feet, and kind of like giving them more time as people come into the realization of what they're seeking. Like, how many times have we gone to the store and got something, and then you have like buyer's remorse, or like
Sure,
you're
absolutely.
like, oh my gosh, that like happened really fast. Like going in and getting an animal is such a huge commitment.
Absolutely.
And to give people the opportunity, like, hey, come and meet them, see if it feels right. You're not like in the auction pen, oh, now it's yours, which happens a lot. And then they get home and they don't work out, and then they get turned back.
Dumped.
We don't want to rush that. We want to make sure that we know them as well as we can. We want to make sure they're safe, because it's little misunderstandings that happen that, that's how animals get taken to the shelter, or,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we want to try and eliminate as much as we can in regards to helping them, be as successful as possible.
That's right. It's the education of the whole process on both sides.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I've talked to other, rescue people in the field as well, and they say the same thing. It's the education on both sides, those who are rehoming the rescues and those who are going to adopt the rescues.
Exactly.
It's just total education on both sides.
It is.
Yeah, right? There's a lot.
And there's also another side to running a rescue that's not just based on the animals, but it's how we have to interact with the community and working with other people which I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it would be easier to just work with animals. As an animal person, it can be a little intimidating working with people.
Right?
But this is so important for the success of the rescue, for the animals. We have volunteers that come out and work with the animals. They help us with fundraising. They are probably one of the most important parts to keeping the day-to-day work. We couldn't do it without volunteers. We couldn't do
Exactly.
all of that by ourselves, especially with our young family.
Right.
But that part can be a little bit
Challenging.
complicated, and we really, it's so important though. Like, we really have
Absolutely.
to learn the in and out of working with people the same as we do working with the
With the
animals.
animals.
And let me tell you what, when it comes together, it's absolutely beautiful
It's
and like
amazing.
irreplaceable. And we have just met so many people that it's just really
Amazing.
makes us appreciate,
On
putting
both
yourselves
sides.
out there and
Absolutely.
being vulnerable, and then
Right.
and having people come into your life. That's a side to the rescue that we weren't quite, ready for.
And look at you
But
now.
yeah, look at us now. We have so many amazing people, out there helping us. But so I would say, just to wrap up that whole long spill, the rescue is really about helping as many animals as we can, but it's also about our community and working with people and kind of finding that like relationship on both sides, the
Absolutely.
animal and the human.
It takes a village to run the rescue, work with the
Yes,
community, and bringing it all together for a successful rescue to
that's
rehome
right.
all those beautiful animals. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. How long were you in your home before Cindy did come to you and mentioned that she was looking to sell she was selling her home and the rescue?
When we met, we had talked about the possibility of taking it over in a few years, like in 5 years. And we were like, oh, maybe at that point, like, we can sell our house and we'll buy the property, separately. And Christian and I were daydreaming, like, from the moment we moved in, about the possibilities, like, oh man, if we had, that pasture back there, if we had the barn, like, oh my gosh, how perfect. Yeah, that never in a million years. But it was literally, I think, months later. It was quick that, Cindy, she came to us and she was like, hey, I have an amazing job offer. It was closer to her family. She asked if we would be interested. There was a lot of moving pieces. And of course we said yes. Like, we knew.
Did you think about it?
No, I don't think we did. Like, we just instantly, when she called us, I'll never forget when she called and said, would you guys be interested? Like, if we can make this work, are you interested? And we're like, absolutely, because this never would. It's like insane. Like,
Yeah.
I tell people
Uh-huh.
and they're like, oh my gosh, how in the world? And we're like, it was like such a huge blessing. We just never,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was everything we ever wanted.
Yeah, so it was a quick decision, but then all the conversations started to how to make it happen, though.
That was a lot. We just jumped in head first. There was a lot of moving pieces because she was going to have to separate the property. And in order for the property to be separated, there had to be, buyers of the property. And that's a lot, because you're getting three families together. And then it was how big the property sections were going to be, not based on what everybody wanted, but, by the state, by the
Oh,
county.
oh
They
wow.
had to be, it had to be a specific size to be added on to our existing property. I mean,
Oh
it
wow.
was complicated. It was a huge, undertaking for Cindy. And she just was so amazing and just supportive of everyone that was coming together to make this happen. So it was a lot. It was complicated on so many ends that we just didn't anticipate. but everyone came together, made it happen, and we were patient as we could be when they were doing the lot line adjustments. We'd sit and watch for those little pink flags to be out there. We'd see the guys coming and then get papers back and forth, and it was a
That's a
lot to
lot.
do, but it was beyond worth it.
And it was. I've been there.
It's just worked
It's
out
amazing.
so beautifully, but
Yeah,
it was definitely not for, the faint of heart.
I am
And
sure.
Cindy was so amazing helping us through that whole process, and the other neighbors too. So like I said, it was split into three, and so we gained, two more people, two more neighbors that we absolutely adore. It really just worked out so
That's so
beyond
great.
amazing.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you got through that. You get through the purchase. You now
Yes.
have your rescue. And sometime during all that, oh, you had your second child, Kaylee.
Yeah, right after. Yeah, we took it over in May and Kaylee came in June.
Oh my gosh. So now you have a 2-year-old, a newborn, and a rescue. And was there ever a time that you and Christian looked at each other and said, oh, what the heck have we done?
Absolutely. Probably every day for months, and still now we look at each other and we're like, what have we done? Like, this is insane. Then, 5 p.m. rolls around, it's chore time, and we look at each other and we get to say, look what we've done. Look at this.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
gets
Oh,
me
I
every
know.
time.
It's been an emotional roller coaster for you.
Yeah.
And both you and Christian have done such an amazing job from,
Thank you.
buying the house on, your acre plot to taking over a rescue and these beautiful animals that, need somebody like you and Christian to take care of them and know what's going to be best for them.
It's so rewarding and amazing, and there are a lot of times that it's overwhelming. You look around, you're like, oh my gosh, we got to do this, we got to do that. But then as the day rolls out, or we get to the end of a long weekend, we get to watch our kids playing, our dogs living the life we always wanted. The ones that we had when we were traveling, they went through so much with us,
Right.
traveling all over the world and
Yeah.
like flying on airplanes and
Right.
going all these different countries. Being able to give them like their little retirement was such an amazing feeling. And then we got to share this with our family and friends,
Right.
which was a huge part of, how I grew up, and getting to do that for our kids was such an amazing feeling. And then we get to meet all these amazing new people. That's when it really is like, oh my gosh, look at this. Like, look what we've
Look,
done. Like,
yeah,
this is
exactly. And so the
just
dust finally
amazing.
settles. You finally get that dust to settle.
Gosh.
And you and Christian start running the rescue along with your board members. So Cindy has moved to Florida,
Yes.
and Lynn, her sister, is still here in Delaware, and she's on the board. And she's been with you since you and Christian took over Second Chance Ranch. And
We could
so
not do it without her.
she's amazing.
There's no way. When everything was coming up, and they asked us if we would be interested in taking it over, and which is terrifying because
Think.
there is so much that you don't see that happens behind the scenes. We would have been lost
Right.
without Lynn.
Yeah, and she's been there with you ever since.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's great to have somebody who has the knowledge and the background of the rescue already. And
Yes.
it's a 501c, and even in that can be daunting if you don't have any experience with a
Right.
nonprofit. So having Lynn on board for that as well has been a tremendous help to you and to Christian.
Oh my
And
gosh, absolutely. The fundraising, the nonprofit, the community involvement. I mean, she has done so much for us, and she has guided us. It took away so many
thanks.
fears and stresses, and
Sure.
yeah, she's
Yeah,
just been
she's
a
great.
huge blessing to us.
Absolutely. And so we get to the rescues themselves. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
So
I have so much.
we
This
finally
is
have,
where I get in trouble, Deb. This is where I can talk
it's okay. It's a story to be told. It's a beautiful story to be
uh,
told. And the rescues that are there and that have been there have passed over the Rainbow Bridge, and those you have now presently. So tell us about them.
we took over the rescue. We had 4 residents. We had Sparkles, who is still here. Gunner, and he is visually impaired, beautiful paint gelding. And we had Sphinx and Kiati. Unfortunately, Sphinx and Kiati have since crossed Rainbow Bridge. They were just amazing, and I'm so thankful that we got to know them and have them and enjoy them because they were beautiful, beautiful souls. Um, but with Sparkles and Gunner, Sparkles, we have accomplished so much. You know, Deb, she's your girl.
She is. She's beautiful. And yeah, I ride Sparkles. I got back in the saddle after many, many years, and Kara has been an absolute wonderful giving lessons to me and so patient, and Sparkles has just been a beauty.
Well, you guys, that was really, rewarding for me to get to see you start riding again. And it was also kind of her reintroduction into being a riding horse and getting ridden often. So that was really cool. And we learned a lot about each other. And that was what helped us get her to the Delaware State Fair. I mean, she did amazingly there.
Amazing.
She didn't love the trailer ride,
No.
but she did so amazing handling the commotion, the excitement, being in town on pavement, like
Right.
so many factors that people might not think about. When you go to the fair, you see all the pretty animals and everything, but let me tell you what, it's stressful and it's hard on them, and they usually handle it so gracefully. And Sparkles did. She
Yes,
was a
she did.
star,
She was. Oh
and
my gosh,
I'm
she
so, so proud of her. And
absolutely.
that was something, that was kind of out there, and we just went for it. And Sparkles, I also have to do a shout out because she gave a beautiful ride to a cancer patient
Right?
whose final request was to be near horses again. She had ridden in the past. And with the help of our amazing neighbor, we ended up getting her on Sparkles. And it was a very emotional, beautiful ride. And it's just a huge sign to the possibility of what this mare can do.
Oh
She's
my gosh,
amazing,
she's
and
amazing.
she has so much potential left, and we're always on the lookout for a forever home for her. Unfortunately, I think my family's a little too big for her, but she has so much to give and so much potential, and we'll keep building on that until we find the right person.
Right.
Um, but if anyone's out there looking for a spicy redhead, I got one
She's
for
it.
you.
She is it.
She's so amazing
She
though. And
is.
she actually came from the Quantico hoarding situation in
Right.
Maryland.
Right.
Um, so, a lot of times I kind of forget about that because you would never know.
No, you would not know
Um,
to look at her now.
no, like she's come so far, and from them thinking she was feral when Cindy and Lynn took 3 horses from that hoarding situation. They teamed up with the SPCA and were a soft landing for 3 of those poor horses. And they said, I don't know, she's probably feral, this and that. And she turned into such an amazing horse. And Cindy got to enjoy her so much and loves her so much. And for us to get to ride her, and for you, Deb,
Oh my
for
gosh, to be
everyone that gets to enjoy her,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
just you forget about some of
Yeah.
that
Where she,
stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
And then we
Wow.
have Gunner still. He is visually impaired. He has cataracts on both of his eyes. He was probably born with them, or they developed at a young age. So he would need a special situation. We've actually discussed the possibility of a blind horse sanctuary for him
Right.
so he could receive constant care that he needs to thrive and be in a constant, have the same animals around him, the same settings like he's had here.
Yes.
But for us, I'd love to see him go where he could go and live out his life with, the same friends, But he's a very special soul. He has such a big personality, and he has also come a long ways just in the 2 years that we've had him, with being around kids and equipment and other horses. And he's had a few other friends come and go. He's a really special guy, and we want to find a really perfect situation for him, and he'll stay
Right.
here until
See,
that day comes, you know.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
no, and
think he would thrive.
you have worked with Gunner, because for not being able to see what's around him and only can hear, he doesn't spook very easily.
No.
No,
No, he does really well, and like with his grooming and things like that, like he's come a long ways to having being bathed and having his luscious mane and tail brushed out. It
right?
is like that guy does not want for hair for anything. But he really has, and he has acclimated well to having people come to the farm and visit, and getting treats, and like
Right.
all the things that
Yeah,
he gets to enjoy. So he's such a neat guy.
he is. Oh my gosh. And then you had Falconberry.
Oh, my baby. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, I miss that silly donkey.
I
He
do
was
too.
such a cool guy. And he came a long ways too. And it's funny because when we were talking about pulling him out of the kill pen, we were like, oh my gosh, we've never had a donkey before. What does this look like? But at that time, Christian and I had both, because we got to do everything together, had just torn our ACLs, and he was in like Georgia for school, tore his ACL 2 weeks after I was here and tore mine. And we were kind of on the back end of recovering from that. We had unfortunately said goodbye to Sphinxie, and we had an open spot, and Falconberry popped up in the bailout pen, and I was like, you know what, I think this is it. And so we got Falconberry, had no idea what to do with the donkey, but we just tried to work with him on everything we could, getting him used to being around kids and other animals, and leading, which is a whole other story with donkeys.
It
But
sure is.
it was really cool. And then all the little surprises that popped up along the way, like they thought he was gelded, but he
It
wasn't.
wasn't.
So,
Surprise.
oh my gosh. Yeah, he
Oh,
was so much fun.
he
And
was.
he was Christian and I's first full circle adoption, and
Yeah,
to the most lovely family.
they
So
are
that was
great.
really exciting. And
That's
he
great.
opened the door for Reba, who,
Exactly. So then Reba comes along
yeah, Reba,
last year.
she came out of the kill pen also, and they thought she was 17 years old. They failed to mention a few other things, but that's how
How it
it
goes.
goes when you're doing it like that, and that's fine. But we did it through a bailout program because of our, not being able to go to the auctions and be there in person. That was our option, which I am grateful for, because it did bring us to Reba, who is
Yeah.
such a special girl.
Oh my
And
gosh.
oh, she's just,
So how
to
old is
know her
she?
is,
Yeah, how old is she?
the vet aged her at 28.
Choo.
Yes. Yeah. 28 years young. She had a few blemishes, a few things going on with her that were signs of hard use. She had some joints kind of fused up, probably from just being used every day of her life. And then somebody thought it was fair to her to take her and dump her off at the auction and let her go into the kill pen. And we said, not today.
Not
You're
today,
coming home with
baby.
us, girlfriend.
That's right.
And until she finds a home, or until the day that she crosses Rainbow Bridge, she'll be here and she'll be loved. And we are going to start a little program for her. She has gained enough weight that we can start seeing what she can do, start walking her through, little obstacle courses, and maybe get some kids around her and see how she does with that, because maybe she'd make someone a really nice little trail horse.
Oh my gosh, she's absolutely beautiful. So it was the 4th of July week that you went and picked Miss Reba up. When my business partner Ron and I came to see Miss Reba, broke our hearts. Let me tell you. So looking from the outside in, coming to see Reba, who was just all you could see. You could see her ribs. She was so malnourished. Her head, if her head hung any lower, it would hit the ground.
Mm.
It looked like she had given up. She was barely standing, barely standing. To see Reba now,
She, oh,
to see Reba now with her head held high, her coat is just so glossy red. She has gained the weight. She is the happiest mare out in that pasture. She loves to be groomed. She is like the happy horse of the house. If you ever feel down, go see Miss Reba, and you will
such a love.
feel, oh my gosh, absolutely. So, and this is what the rescue is about. The rescue is about Kare and Christian, who cares so immensely about these animals that they're able to go pick them up from a kill pen, or go pick them up from hoarding situations, or wherever these animals have come from, and to be able to go full circle. And yes, I'm on my soapbox. To be able to do what you guys have done is absolutely amazing. And so people, if you're listening, and you're going to be listening, and you have to go and you have to do something, I don't care if it's volunteer an hour a month or to do the donation. And I speak from my heart. And if you can't tell that, then there's something wrong with me. So you have, just to interrupt, because it is so, so important what you and Christian do. And it takes everybody to help you get through it. And that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I appreciate that, because let me tell you, when you are running something like a rescue, and any of my other, rescue families out there listening, it's hard to ask for help. It is.
Absolutely.
And when you have to ask so many times, you feel it's hard for us to reach out and say, hey, we need the extra help with chores, or we need the extra help cleaning this up, or, like the labor that goes behind it. The financial part of it is, it's immense.
Absolutely.
Without doing, like Lynn has been amazing with fundraising. We push on social media, and even doing that, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard sometimes. It's hard to be like, okay, you got to do it. You got to put it out there.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, they can't help.
No.
So,
And so why don't you tell everybody where they can go to donate on the website or Facebook?
Facebook is a great resource for that. They have the birthday fundraiser that you can do, and that money, every dollar that they make doing that, comes straight to us. It gets mailed to us like 2 weeks later. It's amazing. But there's also, you can start fundraisers on Facebook yourself, just on your page, Instagram as well. But if you want to make a donation straight to us, the website has multiple options. We have the PayPal, which takes debit and credit cards. We have Venmo, Cash App, mailing a check. You can do it the old-fashioned way. And you know what? You can also just call me and say, hey, I want to come out. And I'll say, all right, when works for you, come on out, and can show you around. And if you feel inclined to donate, then I absolutely appreciate that as well. So there's a lot of ways to get a hold of us, a lot of ways to help. And honestly, I know everyone says this, but there is no amount that is too small. Because at the end of the day, a bag of shavings costs $5. A bale of hay is $6. I mean, seriously,
Absolutely.
there's no amount too small. However works for you, we can make it happen.
That's right. And that's what I say when I talk about donating. It's like a dollar adds up. $1 here
really
and $1
does.
there. Then and it adds up, because then you take all these donations, and what are the projects that you either have already accomplished or projects that are coming up?
Probably our biggest accomplishment after we took over the rescue was getting the second pasture put in. It was a hayfield before. And then when we had the lot lines adjusted with the sale of the property, it turned into a pasture. That way we had somewhere for the horses to go. That we accomplished with GoFundMe and a lot of social media pushing. That was great. And now we want to expand once again with what we have been lovingly referring to as runs.
That's
These
right.
are definitely our biggest expense, our biggest push right now. They are 40-foot by 14-foot pins that would go under the overhang that already exists on the side of the barn. It is literally perfect for animals because it's warm, it's out of the wind, it's protected. It would give them somewhere they could go so that we could rotate off of our pastures to increase the health of the pastures. It's also a great way to monitor what goes in the horse, what comes out. They're still close to the other horses, so it's not stressful. It's able to dry lot without having to go into the stall, because going into the stall, smaller, obviously, more
Right.
confinement, but it also uses resources. We have to clean with and put new shavings in and things like that. So as far as cost efficiency and better, movement for the
All
animal,
right.
these runs are where it's at. And we're fully pushing for that because it would allow us to take a couple more horses in. It would give us somewhere to put them, when it's time for the grass to start growing,
Right.
and when they need, if they're on medication or anything like that. It would just open up so many possibilities.
Right.
With that comes the fencing, which we have reached out to Cameo Fencing. They're out of Georgia. They have an amazing fence that is super safe. They're willing to work with us, which is very exciting. We need to get the ground right, your gravel, sand, everything, to make sure it stays drained. The drainage is proper. That's Christian's area of expertise, really, but that is probably costs as much as the fencing does. So
Right.
it's a big push, but I think it's going to be a huge, huge improvement once we can get it done.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And with that, we're going to have some events and some fundraising and fun things like that, so we can try and get this project moving forward.
That's right. So you're going to have an open house in the fall, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh my gosh, Deb, this is your baby too. Deb is the one who put this bug in my ear, and she has been such a huge help. And we're so excited because it gives people the chance to come out and meet us, see the animals, see the property.
And spread the word.
We can, spread the word. We can meet face to face, which
Yeah.
is always better.
Right. Absolutely.
And we're thinking about having some vendors come out. Other small businesses can have the chance to grow, having live music, having food, maybe some baked goods. I mean, there's so many possibilities. We're just beyond excited to do it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Just to bring the whole community together. I just want to give a shout out to Christian
Yeah.
because I've been able to watch the two of you together. I've been able to because I've been there a year. It's like, where did this year go to?
Oh my God.
I know it's crazy, but I watch the two of you together. You're just awesome. You balance each other out. But Christian
Aw.
is such a great dad and such a great husband. I mean, he picks up the kids and, gosh, grabs Case and on the tractor they go to cut the grass. Or you're down at the barn with me with Case and he's up at the house with Kaylee. I mean, he's nonstop too. And you go to school, he works. It's like, okay, well, when do you sleep? He's awesome. I
That's
have
a
to.
good question, Deb.
Yeah,
I would also like to know that. No, I'm just kidding.
right. It's a lot. Oh my gosh. So yeah,
He is. He's
you
been,
two are
and
great.
Christian didn't come from a big agriculture background. He was always outdoorsy, always wanted to have land and to be able to have kind of that homestead lifestyle. I'm like, okay, here we go. You can have, the hobby farm, the homestead and the garden and the chickens.
Right?
And also we're going to save some horses
Yeah.
and goats, turns out.
Yeah. I was getting to that too. It's like, wait, what else besides horses is on that farm?
Oh my gosh. It's been amazing. the goats and the chickens and the ducks, definitely we didn't exactly plan on that, but we like to keep our options open because you really never know who's going to be knocking looking for a second chance.
Yeah.
The Some of the chickens came from the local auction house. I think he went and picked up just the rattiest girls out there, doctored them up, fed them up, and they look so much better. Their egg production has picked up tenfold, and they are some of the sweetest hens ever. The ducks were surrendered to us. We were not expecting to have rescue ducks. Absolutely love them, and we have adapted to having them, and I
Yeah,
think
they're
they're
so
very
cute.
happy. Goaty boys, they were surrendered to us, and before we got that call, we had discussed getting goats. But we were like, you know what? Let's just wait. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. We'll know when it's time. And then we were on like the flight from you know where, and I get this
Right.
phone call. And it's
Right.
the nicest guy, and he's like, you know what? It would be better for them, not in a good situation. Would love to see them go somewhere. And I looked at Christian and I was like, someone, just called. They need to surrender their goats. And he's like, all right, as soon as we get home, I'll put up that bottom strand. I'll build them a house. We have goats now. It was so cool because we were just waiting for it to happen, and then it happened, and that's
Yeah,
that's how it was supposed to happen.
you talk about it and and there they are. And I just have to say, I never know what I'm going to find when I arrive at the rescue.
Never know what's going to be in that
It's
stall.
like I never know. It's like, oh, what do I hear now? they
It really
it's
can
true.
be like that sometimes. We get some interesting calls and we try and help guide them good direction, like, baby calves and other farm animals that, we haven't quite got there yet.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah,
but we
that's
try
great.
and help everyone that we can, and then it's so funny. You just have to trust the process, let go and let God, and pretty soon you get some awesome little goaties and ducks and chickens and a donkey
That's
and
right. And
and
everybody,
they're
yeah, and everybody can go to the website at 2crde.org to see all the you can see the pictures of the horses
yes.
and falconberries on there. If
Yeah.
you are interested in becoming or adopting from the Second Chance Ranch, they can contact you through the website, correct?
Absolutely. There is a contact form on the front page that goes directly into the inbox. And then we reach out to you usually via email, or, if you're messaging on the Facebook, or shoot me a text message. My phone number is also on there. We will get in contact with you. And all the information about adopting, sponsoring, donations, and not just monetary donations, but other things, other supplies that we can use are on there. We have a list of projects that we would like to accomplish. We have our past projects and our past donors, pictures. I try and keep pictures up to date as much as possible, but social media is probably the best. That
Right.
creative outlet.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
usually find a lot of good pictures on the social
Absolutely.
media, but
Is
yeah,
it,
the
yeah.
website, we try and keep everything up to date. That
Yes.
has been a good resource.
Absolutely. So you can go there, you can sign up for volunteering, you can make the donation, you can sign up to just to come see the rescue, and you can also sign up
Mhm.
to take riding lessons.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a list of services that we offer, writing lessons for every level being one of them. Farm visits. I actually just had someone reach out to me about coming out on Mother's Day with her mom.
No,
That's a shared interest that they have, a love for horses, and we're setting up a really fun little picnic for them right now that will also include getting on a horse. So there are endless options. And we also probably don't talk about it enough, but hosting events is something that we're very interested in and love to do. And it's something that we do for ourselves with our family and with, you know, like our kids' birthday parties and things
right,
like
right.
that. But you
Yeah.
know what? If you have a kid that loves animals or farms or something like that, shoot me a message, because I love to collaborate and I want to, make that a possibility. I grew up with that in my backyard, having a barn and having animals, and then I moved away.
Amazing.
And it was really hard. And I wish I would have known of an outlet for that. And having small kids now, when they say, I want a farm birthday, like you're going to do anything to make that possible. There's the contact card right there. Just,
That's
it
great.
can't hurt to ask.
No, not at all. And we've talked about having other people do events at the barn. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of different opportunities. Absolutely. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to touch upon?
Oh my gosh. You know what, Deb? Not off the top of my head because like I could talk all day and all night about this rescue because it really is such a huge part of our life and such a blessing. I hope that it brings joy to other people and that it gives them somewhere to find peace. We love sharing it. We look forward to doing more things with it. We look forward to saving more animals. Comes in all different shapes and forms. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I think we've talked about a lot, but I
We
could
did.
definitely go on.
No, it is all good. Kara, I appreciate you taking the time and talking about Second Chance Rescue in Felton, Delaware. I look forward to a long time at the rescue with you.
Well, Deb, we really couldn't do a lot of this without you. And I want to say thank you because you have just opened so many doors for us. And you are a huge, bright spot in my life. And I look forward to you coming out every week. And I look forward to your pictures that you send me when I'm not there. It's peace of mind. We love having you. I feel like I've known you forever. I feel like we've like gone through such a journey together. And so I
Kindred
really,
spirits.
really appreciate
Thank you. Thank you. I
we are.
appreciate. Thank
I
you. I
just
know, right?
appreciate you coming
Yeah.
out.
Thank you. I
It's been
appreciate
so
that.
much fun. We have so much more to do.
We
We have a
do.
lot more to do, and I look forward to it. I'm
Me too.
excited.
I am too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to you and to and Christian and the kids.